I'm trying to say. But so many people, European descent folks, don't really see us. And I think also, as someone who is an African national, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in a second, that's something that's, I don't care what color you are, we don't really have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of experience with. I know I don't. I've met more African nationals on social media through Instagram and yoga than I've
Yeah.
ever met in my entire life. And that's a really sad thing to say as someone who is African
Mm-hmm.
American, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. So, I have so many questions like how'd you end up in Germany? She's in Germany, people. um
It's a long story.
Is it? Well, first tell us your name and where you're from and where you're living, all that kind of stuff. Let's start there.
Okay. Like I'm Maggie. It's actually Margaret, but every old woman is called Margaret, like here in Germany. So I kind of shortened the name. I prefer being called Maggie. So
Ah,
most people only knows me as Maggie and not Margaret.
and not Margaret. No kidding.
Yeah. I don't like that name Margaret. It sounds so old. And
No,
I'm
it
always
doesn't.
feeling young. I feel so young, so I prefer being called Maggie.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
But you
I was
use
born in Kenya.
I'm sorry, but you use
Yeah.
you use Ebony because I've been calling you Ebony. Now I'm going to call you Maggie. You want me to call you Margaret or Maggie or Ebony?
Ebony. Yeah. Ebony is more African.
Oh,
Like that's how I came about it. Like this ebony tree, it's so chocolate brown and beautiful. And I thought like, okay, I need a name. And I said, okay, I'll call myself Ebony.
oh,
And
okay.
Yogini is, yeah, yoga.
See, okay, great.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see. Do you see how I drifted into C with the Spanish? I'm working on my
Yeah.
I'm working on the Spanish. So now where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Kenya. I was born and raised in Mombasa. I grew up there. I went to school there. I went to college there. And then initially, I was a secretary, by the way,
No.
way back in Kenya. So
Mhm.
I used to work in German, Goethe Institute. I don't know whether some that says rings a bell to you, Goethe Institute.
No, it doesn't.
That's a German, it's a German institution where they teach the German culture and the German language in foreign countries.
Oh, oh.
So that's where I used to work as a secretary, and that's where I met my ex-husband. I'm divorced anyway. That's where I met my ex-husband. We got married and we moved to Germany. So I've
Ah.
been like in Germany, like let's say I came in 1993.
Oh, wow. You've been there a
Over
long
20,
time.
yeah, over 25 years now. I'm here.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and I changed my profession because when I was working as a secretary, it wasn't an office where it's just you and your boss, and there were students walking in who were coming to learn the German language. It was like a walk-in for most German tourists who needed some information. Maybe they wanted to go to the consulate and they didn't know where the consulate is, sort of was. And this Goethe Institute was a point for them, and they knew this is a German institution, so they would always walk in asking for information. And I was working there as a secretary, so I was used to seeing different sort of people every day.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and when I moved here, I was like, okay, what do I do now as a profession? And my racial background, I kind of thought it would be hard for me to get a secretarial job. So
Hmm.
I switched over to nursing. So
Ah,
I took a nursing course because that's a profession where you work with people and you get to meet different sort of people. And that's how I ended up being a nurse.
I
And
see.
right now I'm doing more of a palliative care.
Oh, you are. Ooh, that
Yeah,
must that's that must be challenging in some ways.
it is challenging.
Have you always
It
worked in palliative care?
No, 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 no. I did the extra course for palliative care like 4 years ago. So 4 years now, I'm doing mostly palliative.
Oh. Are a lot of your
Yeah,
patients COVID patients? I'm just curious, given the situation that we find ourselves in now.
funnily enough, up to now, I've had because most of my patients are cancer patients,
Oh,
terminal cancer patients. Yeah,
I see.
and COVID, I've had just two up to now.
Oh, I see.
Only two, yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
But they made it. They made it like that was a couple, an old couple. The man was on a breathing machine, but they took him out of intensive last week. So it's like in 2 weeks he'll be able to go back home again.
Wonderful. That's
And the
wonderful.
wife is fully recovered. Yeah, yeah, he's back home.
Oh, I
Mm,
see.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So, and you never went back to Kenya to live, no?
No, but maybe when I get into pension, when I retire, maybe, because I need. I always tell my kids when I finish working, when I retire, I want to go maybe South Spain.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, where it's always hot, or I go to Mombasa because Mombasa is also always hot. It's very hot.
Oh, well, you can
Like right
come
now,
here.
it's I loved Spain. Like 2 years ago, I walked the Camino.
Oh,
Do you
you
know
did.
Camino?
See, I do.
I
See.
did, yeah, yeah, yeah. I walked from Porto to Santiago, and
Wow.
it was so beautiful. I met so many people along the route, and it was just I can't describe it. The feeling is I always tell people that is something it has to be in your bucket list.
Yeah. It was beautiful, huh?
You have to walk it.
Yes. And there's
Very enlightening, yeah.
it's
Mm.
interesting. There's another yogi that's in Germany, and she was
Mm-hmm.
due to walk the Camino as well this past summer. But of course,
Yeah,
as we all say, then COVID happened, and so she
yeah, yeah.
she was unable to do that. We did the Camino del Rey, which is not exactly what you did, that's for sure. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It's a lot. No, 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 no. I mean, it was challenging enough with a guide.
Yeah.
um, but the country, I think Spain just has so much. I mean, I don't think we really knew until we moved here just how much it
Mm-hmm.
really had to offer. Now, Mombasa, see, that's a name that I've heard. I have yet to get to, let's just say, okay, January, it was January this year. We got to North Africa and we went to Morocco and we were in
Mm-hmm.
Marrakesh. But
Yeah.
that is the only time that my foot set foot, so to
In
speak.
Africa.
See, and it's still Africa, but still not where I want to go. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so we had hopes of going to the sub-Saharan Africa and Kenya and Ghana and Nigeria, and I mean I could just name places that I would just love to see, but
Mm-hmm.
we have yet to be able to go there, and so many people are unaware of what it's like to be an African American. At
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
now we have test genetic tests that can give us an idea of,
Mm-hmm.
what our heritage is, so that we can connect. Um, well, connect in some way anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And so for me, I found out that I don't know, I think it was pretty close to 85% Nigerian.
85% Nigerian.
See, yes.
Yeah.
And there were other, I wish I had it in front of me, that parts of Africa where there are parts of me, so to speak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there were smaller pieces that were mm, British Isles, somewhere up in there. And then there were pieces that were probably not equally as small, maybe just a little larger, that were Native American, but it really wasn't clear what tribe. So for us, I used to say to people, because I've done so much work in um, diversity and inclusion and trainings and all that stuff professionally, I said
Mm-hmm.
I would often meet someone who's an African national, and I'd go, "Do I look like anybody that's in your family?" Because a lot of times Africans can tell
Yeah.
by facial structure and all that, at least get an
Yeah.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
And people will look at me like, "Is she for real?" And I'm like, "No, I'm absolutely serious, because I don't know. I have
Yeah.
I have no clue." And it's a sad, sad heritage to have, because it's very different from maybe um, uh, African Brazilians, African Caribbean folks, where the history was just very different.
Mm-hmm.
They were not as stripped of their heritage and background and culture and the way it happened in the United States.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. So I'm always like, "Oh, wait. How much can I find out, and what can my connections be?" with people. So I'm very grateful. Did you start yoga
Mm.
while you were home in Kenya?
Yeah, but it was sort of, I don't know which kind of yoga that was. It was like a small building, and then in this building was a picture of like the mother, the Maria,
Okay.
Jesus.
Yes.
And I was so fascinated from this picture. So one day I knocked on the door, and a nun came and opened the door for me. And I was like, I would like to know what this building is all about. And she invited me in, and it was just about meditation. So I
Okay.
would sit and we would meditate, and then I would go home. And then and I would go there every Friday. I would go to this building, and it was just about meditation. And then they would do some hymn, which I didn't understand the language.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think it was some Hindu or some sort of Hindu. It was, yeah. That was my first connection with yoga. And then I dropped off for a while, and then I started again, and then I started doing the real yoga, and then I dropped off a while, and then I dropped. I think I didn't do it for like 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved here, and then I had my first child, and then I was struggling to cut the weight down again, and that's when I started yoga, and I did it like 6 years, and then I stopped, and then came the second kid, and the same procedure. The weight are back again, and you want to get rid of the weight, and I started running then. And I would run and run and run and run. And then I remember it's like about 7 years back, or 8 years, 8 years, my orthopedic
Mm-hmm.
told me to put my shoes on the wall, my running shoes on the wall, and forget about running. And I
Oh.
was kind of so depressed because my knees were giving me some hectic.
Oh.
And that's when I started then serious yoga. And I did yoga. I started doing it on a regular basis, and I got back to running because my biggest dream was to run the New York Marathon.
Oh,
And
really?
I figured out, okay, the full marathon I would not manage, but at least I'll do the half one. It's better
Right.
than not doing. And I did the half one in 2016.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
amazing.
2016, I went to New York and I did the New York half marathon. It was amazing. It was amazing. And it was very,
Wow.
very tough. It was
I
tough because the route was hilly. It was up and down, up and down, up and down.
it's through the city too. It's all
Yeah,
through
through
the
the
city.
city.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was amazing. Alone, just running along this Times Square, which is normally busy.
Right.
It is always busy as if there's a carnival going on, yeah, when you're walking around this Times Square. But that day, there was no yellow cars. It was just the runners, yeah.
Yes.
It was beautiful. I loved it. And then still my biggest dream, it still itch me. This the full New York Marathon, yeah. Because it's always Kenyan, yeah, who are winning the
That's
marathon.
true. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We watched it.
Yeah.
I grew up in New Jersey. I'm from New
Uh-huh.
Jersey. And so New York was the city was my so-called playground from high school on up. And then,
Mm.
I went to undergrad in Connecticut and met my husband, married there, raised our kids there. So going into New York was just, we did it often, whether it was for
Yeah.
the
It wasn't
culture.
something big then.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is a city that I have all either you love it or you hate it. I mean, honestly, I think that I don't know that there's an in between.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I can remember one year because I've also worked in New York, in Manhattan, well, other
In
places too,
Manhattan.
but
Yeah.
um one year I happened to be there during the marathon. I don't think I really understood all the places throughout New York that the marathon goes. It's just
Mm.
fascinating. It's fascinating. It is
Yes.
an amazing city that I probably saw you and I could have said, "Hey, what's up?" Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious about something in terms of well, first our paths to asana were very similar because I started with meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is actually why people should be doing asana is to get to the point of meditation. But
Yeah.
I did it the other way
The other way around. Yeah.
and I
Like me.
didn't like you.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was yoga. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I just was
Yeah.
like, okay. And this is not about me, so I don't really want to spend a lot of time with it. But I, um, I think I sort of always dabbled in it, but I just wasn't ready. You
Mm-hmm.
know, trying to do relaxation, and I'm a clinician. I'm a clinical psychotherapist clinician
Yeah.
by training. And so, I've used techniques with people around relaxation and visualization and all that kind of stuff. Uh, but when it came to me trying it, I was always the one laying on the YWCA floor, popping my head up, going, "What's everybody doing?" I I could never just totally. I was just not ready. They talk about monkey
Mm-hmm.
mind, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like monkey mind, monkey body because I just was like, oh, I can't settle. Uh, and I think it took quite a while before. So I've been meditating now for, oh my gosh, I don't know, 13, 14 years, maybe even a little longer.
Okay.
And just doing yoga in the last, well, it'll be about 8 years. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of started in a very similar way. What I'm interested in is when you went to the meditation and or the asana practice, did you find yourself the only person of color, or was there a good representation?
Like in Kenya, back in Kenya, we don't talk of colors because we have Indian,
Mm-hmm.
we have Arabs, and we have the local dark skinned. So that was never an issue.
Hmm.
The issue is when I came here, is when I realized, okay, you are black. You'd enter a shop and people turn and look at you. I remember
Ah.
walking in a yoga class and everybody raising their head up and looking at me, and I kind of felt lost. Yeah, I thought, did I enter the wrong room? But then I'm seeing, okay, it's a yoga room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but nowadays it's normal. But at the beginning, it was a bit weird. A bit weird. Most of the time I felt out of place. But nowadays I'm used to it, and I think we have so many blacks around. Because I remember when I came here in 1993, the city I lived in is Worms. It's called Worms, and it's not that big. And I would run after every dark-skinned person I see on the street. Hey, where are you from?
Hello.
And I remember the funniest thing, like my kids had the same. The thing with my kids, okay, they are not here. They are not real German. They are considered foreigners here.
Ah.
And if I go with them to Kenya, they are not African. They
Mm-hmm.
are considered European. So I always ask myself, where do my kids belong?
Huh.
Where do they belong? Because they are mixed.
Mm-hmm.
They have because the dad is a German.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they're seen as not German, and they're seen as European if you're in Kenya.
If you're in Kenya, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Because I remember when I went with my daughter, the kids on the street, they would say, Muzungu, Muzungu. And Muzungu is a Swahili word for a white man.
oh.
So, and my daughter in the middle is also saying Muzungu. Her dad is walking around, yeah. And the small kids are saying Muzungu, Muzungu, white man, white man. And my daughter in the middle is also saying white man, white man.
Wow.
And she would come back and ask, Mama, why are they calling my dad Mzungu? And I would explain it to her, but at that time she was still very little. She didn't understand. She didn't
Uh,
understand. Because when we were in the train here in Germany, and when a black man walked in, she would look at me and said, Mama, is that my uncle? Because she
oh,
remember the uncles back in Africa. And
yes. Isn't that
it was
something?
amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And when they went to kindergarten, when they were little, still at home, this color issue was not known to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like my daughter went to kindergarten for the first time, and after, let's say, 3 months, 4 months into kindergarten, one time she came. And I remember I had au pair that time from Kenya. And she will come back from kindergarten, and she looks at me and the au pair girl, and then she says, Mama, you are black, and Sheila is also black. I am brown, and Papa is white.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who told you that? The teacher.
Oh. Interesting.
So she had
Wow.
to go to kindergarten to know that she is brown, to know
Right.
this color thing, yeah.
Yeah, the color thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is the thing. what is what is so fascinating is
Mm-hmm.
it. it's not something that we as African descent people, well, I'll say Americans as African
Yeah.
descent people, um, talk about, because our history is just so incredibly different. And so,
Mm,
as a part of that history, the lighter you were, the more privileges you got, the better, whether you wanted them or not, it just happened. You know,
mm-hmm.
the darker you were, the less, the closer you were to white, whether it was your hair, your eyes, your features, whatever.
Yeah.
There are privileges that happened for you, and the total opposite if you weren't. The darker you were, the more African features, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have families, it's like I can look at my family and we've got, you name it, you got blue eye, blonde hair people, and they say they black. You got,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everything in between. Uh, it's just such a different identifier. And I think, I don't know, I was talking to a few people last night on a whole, totally different call.
Mm-hmm.
A book club that started here in Spain with women of African descent.
Yeah.
Most of them are from the U.S., but there are some from other places. And we were talking about, it's just such a very different experience for us, because one of the things that I shared was, here, this is such a small little place. Like Worms near is small, it's not big. The
Mm,
biggest city, not very large, is Malaga. It's not, it's not huge. It's really a port city that had a lot of cruise ships. But
mm,
nonetheless, there's more diversity there in terms of
yeah.
race than it is here. Here we have African nationals, and I couldn't tell you where they're from, because by and
Mm,
large, they don't acknowledge me or my husband. You can say
mm,
you can say hello, you can say hola, and it's like tunnel vision.
eternally.
I
Yeah.
I I don't get it. I mean, I've been trying to. I'm like, to me it's like, whoa, like you, right? Hey, another black person.
Another
How are you? Maybe I can
yeah.
connect and make a friend. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that's about. I mean, I really don't.
That's the hard.
It's very
I don't
hard.
even. Yeah.
And I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
some of it has to do with the past history, with Africans coming to Spain, when there was a big flood of refugees. I mean, I don't know. It can be a whole host of things. I mean, I don't want to make up stuff or create fiction about it, because I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is sort of like, well, this kind of sucks. I would love to interact and make connections, but I think
Mm,
one of the things that we talked about on that call was is that a lot of African nationals don't see us as African. They really see us as American first.
mm-hmm. But
Um,
I think our most Black Americans don't see themselves as Africans.
it's a very
Don't-
good point. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we want to,
Mm,
you know,
yeah. Mm,
I think we want to, but our history doesn't allow us to, because we go, like, Africa's a freaking continent with how many countries and tribes and religions and ethnicities, and where do we identify? You know,
yeah. Mm.
it's a struggle. So we all end up wanting to take that trip to Ghana so we can go to the door of no return, because it's what you know, right? It's what you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And
Okay.
I'm not Ghanaian, so I don't, man, I don't know. It's just very interesting, and I think for you, and then you move to a European country, and because in some ways there's what am I looking for, a bit of similarity in the view, like here.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Europe, people see me as American first and a person that's black second. The
Yeah.
reactions to me is very It's not the same as in the States. It's not.
Mm.
And I think for you, you live in that place, and your husband is German, and so there's a very different feel that we don't have. In some ways, that's why people think Black Americans have a chip on their shoulder.
A chip on the shoulder.
Yes, meaning defensive.
Oh, okay.
Always, because yeah. Sorry for that euphemism. um, and I think it's because when generation after generation, the history is sort of inbred in a sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're always wondering, and that's a sad reality. Are you going to accept me? Do you see me for who I am? And here in Europe, even when we travel, before we moved here, because we've traveled a lot, been to Germany. I got to ask you a few questions about that, but whatever.
Yeah.
um, we've traveled a lot. I have never felt that. I mean, I never
Mm-hmm.
felt that. I don't care where
Yeah.
we went. Germany, Italy, France. I mean, I never really felt that. But I did feel you see me as American. Some of it's dress. Some of it's I mean I'm sure there's a host of things, but anyway, it's fascinating
It
um
is.
in that sense. So me walking into a yoga studio in the US and having people look at me sideways, people looked at you, and then you go in. Me, it was very interesting because I'm sure a part of me was like, well, what are you looking at? You know?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I don't need this bullshit anyway, so I'm not going to come back. But I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
received nicely. I wasn't received.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fascinating. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I would always go back and did my thing, and I think it helped. Yoga helps. It helps about how you react about some stuff around you in your
Yeah,
environment.
it's true.
And I think that's what has helped me, because when I see my other African colleagues, they are having quite an issue.
Mm, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. And you've been here longer. Have you been there in Germany longer than they have?
No, there are some who are before me. There are some who are before me, although I didn't know them at that time. Yeah, I came to meet a lot of Kenyan later on when there was a function going on, which was more African. Sometimes there are this African Caribbean festival,
Uh-huh.
and I would go to such festivals, and I got to meet so many African and some from Caribbean. And when we converse and you hear what they have to say, and that was something which is, for me, is not an issue. You are seeing, okay, they are having an issue with that, yeah.
Ah.
And sometimes I think, okay, it's how you perceive something. Like if I say something, if I say I don't like this, and because I'm saying it, I'm black and you're white, and maybe I think she said she doesn't like it because I'm black.
Mm-hmm.
But what if she had said it to a white person, or if a black and black had said, and you see, it's okay. Yeah? But there's always this color issue.
Mm.
They say that like when you're going, I remember when I was still young, I would like to go dance.
Are you still
And
young?
sometimes, yeah, I'm still young, yeah, but dancing is not my thing nowadays. I dance on my couch with my cat in the house. Used to go out in the nightclub dancing, mostly Friday, and maybe we come in pretty late. The nightclub is full, and they would stop us at the door and say it's full. There's no more coming in. And some of us would say, they're just turning us around because we are black.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But that the fact that that's because it's full is, but we are pushing. We used to push this color thing
Mm-hmm.
in front instead
Mm-hmm.
of saying, okay, maybe it's really full, yeah.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
it used to happen quite a lot. And then one time I remember telling my friends, oh, how about if we try? Because for us, a disco starts at midnight. And most Germans, they are there by 9 o'clock. They're
Ah.
dancing. And us Africans, we are walking in at midnight.
Yeah, we just getting ready, right?
Yeah. The club is full, so we are being blocked at the door. You can't, sorry, you can't come in. It's full already. We are not taking anybody in. And we would always say, because we are black, so we would go to the next club, and it was not so full. We would get in. So that there's a time I said, okay, let's try. We go to this club, but we go a little bit early and see if they'll turn us on the door. And yeah, we did that, and we got in. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't a color thing. It
Right.
was just a time factor. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
Which really speaks to something that, we have to really look at. How much do we push the issue of race in front of everything else?
Yeah, yeah. And I see that quite a lot. It happens quite a lot, yeah. And you see it, okay, it's not only African, it is also, okay, I'm in Germany, so I'll say the Germans, because I see it with the German. Like if you see somebody who is not working, and the
Mm-hmm.
person is not ready to go to work, because German is social. If you don't have a job, the government will always cater for you. Yeah,
Yes.
you can't. You in Germany, you sleep on the street if you really want to sleep on the street. You don't have to sleep on the street.
Mm.
You will find those who are living on government quotas. They would be envious of, like, let's say somebody like me, and they would tell, you come here and you take our jobs, and us Germans, we don't have jobs, but the jobs are there. They are
Yeah.
just not ready to lift their butt off and go to work.
Uh-huh. Right.
But they'll always find excuses to blame it on somebody else. And that's
Mm.
somebody would be somebody like me. Yeah? I would fit in the picture. Say, look, she comes from Africa, get our job. And
Ah.
that's where this racism thing comes in. And I
Yes.
find it a pity. It's such a pity,
It
because I
really
think
is.
we're all human.
Mm.
If you cut us, if you dissect us in the middle, inside, we are the same.
We are the same.
We're the
And
same.
and there's that point that so many people miss, is that there's such a focus on the outer shell
Mm-hmm.
and less of a focus on that which is so much more important, the person's spirit. um I don't know, their essence, I guess, is the word that I'm looking for. I mean, your gut often tells you about a person's essence, even though your first reaction may be about that cover and that shell.
Yeah, yeah.
Your gut says good person, not so good, bad person, challenging person. Your gut um tells you that. And I think, as an old saying, water seeks its own level. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you find those in your tribe, for lack of a better way of putting it, that sort of fit for you. And if you're comfortable with who you are, then you're comfortable with who they are, regardless of their race, their
Yeah.
gender, their sexual orientation, their ethnicity, religion. I mean, fill in the blank. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's cool, There's so many people that I've met through Instagram yoga that fit that. I mean, I tell people, you look at my feed, you name it, it's on there. Gay,
Mm.
straight, black, white. What I mean, fill in. And then there are people that I can look at their feed and I can look at who they follow, and it just looks so monotone.
Mm-hmm.
in every way possible, monotone. And that to me is not very yogic like. That's not what
Yeah.
yoga is about. It's one reason why I started the new account. It's like, there's something really wrong about this. I don't really care what color you are, whatever, but if it's all looking monotone and you've got this very myopic view of the world and whatever, there's just something about that that's not what yoga is about to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting in that respect. Have you ever had any I guess I'm wondering about what possible struggles you may have had, except for, oh, they're not letting us into the club, but that's not the reason. as as an African living in Germany, um, have you?
Fortunately, I haven't.
Uh-huh.
I haven't. Yeah, I'm very lucky about that.
Uh-huh.
I'm happy. I haven't had any bad experiences
See.
apart from the club being low. And then we came to realize it was because we were really going late. Because when we started going early, we would always get
Right.
in. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And but when it's full, it's full. Because there were also Germans being turned
Yes. Yes.
out the
Yeah.
door. Yeah.
See, that's just so what am I looking for? I'm envious, one,
Mm-hmm.
because there, I could well, I could give you a million examples. Uh so there's this I have this envy of being able to live your life without having,
Discrimination.
yeah, yeah, in that way.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that you would know. Like I when I've taught, there's a class that I used to teach in person. I'm just teaching online now, and I would say, there are times in your life when you don't know that you're being discriminated against. You
Mm-hmm.
have no clue. It's that if I have the power, let's just say you're applying for a job. This is what I would say to students. You're applying for
Yeah.
a job, and for some reason there's something about who you are. I'm your boss. I'm the person you're interviewing with. There's something
Mm-hmm.
about who you are that is not sitting right with me. Now, it may not be as obvious as your race. It could be something you
Yeah.
said, and I decide you're not a good fit here.
Mm-hmm.
I will find all kinds of ways for you not to be hired. And you would never know I just discriminated against you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's the difference between sort of what we say that, the individual versus the systemic, the micro versus the macro, um, of these issues. There are still people who walk around with their myopic view and can
Mm-hmm.
smile in your face, and you
And
would
start
never
on the
know.
back.
Exactly. And you would never know. So in closing, because I don't want to keep you, do you have any words of wisdom based on your experiences that you would like to share with people about any of this? I mean, anything at all that you would like to
I
leave us
think
with.
the only thing I can say is being positive. Being
Mm,
positive, and even if you see somebody, always smile.
mm,
A smile can break walls,
it's true.
because you see people walking around the street, you don't know what's going on in their head. You don't know what problem they have back home. So it's always, I'm always a happy person. I'm
Right.
always smiling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I try to spread it around me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the only thing I can say is being positive.
Being
I
positive
can
and
think.
smiling can break walls. And even, I'm going to say this to people because I'm sure people will go, yeah, but now we all got to walk around with a mask. but,
Even
but
through the mask, you can smile.
you can smile because you know what? Eyes, as they say, are the windows of the soul. And
Yeah,
eyes smile, don't they? You know when someone
yeah,
is, even when I'm walking in the grocery store and I'll go, hola, and I'm smiling, they go, hola. And you can tell someone is smiling. You
yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah. You can tell, yeah, always.
So anybody that's sitting there going, oh, we all have to wear a mask. I don't know how that's going to work.
Smile.
But yes, but you can definitely smile. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, Ebony, Maggie, Margaret. Thank you so
And
much.
thanks for having me. Thanks for
I
hosting me.
I
Yeah.
really really appreciate it so much, and you have so much to offer. And I don't know where is Worms near any city that a larger city that I would have an idea what area in Germany.
You've definitely been to Heidelberg if you are in
Yes,
Germany.
yes, I've been to Heidelberg.
But I'm just like 25 minutes away from Heidelberg.
Oh, okay. Now I have a
Yeah.
reference.
And Ramstein, Kaiserslautern.
See, yes,
That's the biggest
Renstein.
American base here, Ramstein. It's the biggest base, American base there. That's like 40 minutes away from me.
Oh, and I've done so
Yeah.
much work in the past for the military in Germany
Uh-huh.
and Heidelberg. There were people who came
Mannheim.
from Ramstein and Mannheim.
And
Wurzburg.
Mannheim is 15 minutes away from me.
Uh huh. Wurzburg. How do you say that?
Wiesbaden.
Wiesburg. Nope. Uh,
Würzburg.
yes. Wurzburg.
Würzburg. That's in Bayern, Bavaria.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 3 hours, 2.5 hours
Oh, it's a
away.
little bit. It's a further away.
Hmm.
Those are the
My
places that
sister,
I've been.
my
Uh
sister lives there.
huh. Oh, really?
I have a sister. Yeah, she lived in Würzburg. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So isn't that fascinating? Well, I'm coming to visit as soon as COVID is Rona
You
is
are
done.
welcome. Yeah, you are welcome.
Thank you.
With open arms.
As soon as Rona has finished her run, because
Yeah.
I've always said to my husband, because I went alone because I was doing work when I was in Germany, and I can remember telling our kids they were little then, and that it was the first time that I ever saw a real castle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was before all the take a picture with your iPhone or whatever and send a picture. And I called them and I go, castles are real. they, they were so excited, and I stayed outside the base at a pension outside Patrick Henry Village in Heidelberg. There's an army base.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
'Cause there was no room for me on the base. I was a civilian, but there was no room on the base, and I was like, I can't wait to go. It's been years, but my picture of it all is just like
Mm-hmm.
I was there yesterday. I was well received. I enjoyed myself. I had such a wonderful time. So yeah, I'm definitely coming back. So look for me because
I'll look for you. You are welcome.
okay. Thank you
You're
so
very
much.
welcome.
Thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
we will see you definitely in the little squares. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Take
bye
care.
bye. Yeah.
Bye
Thanks for
bye.
having me. Bye.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye.
Bye. So